Hi, guys. Welcome to my third episode of this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something that I love to speak about. It's such a great topic when you understand it. And even if you don't understand it, this is a good way to begin to understand it and implement it in your life, because once you do, things will change completely. You'll have a 180 because you're actually going to be choosing. So, today's topic is titled Intentional Authorship. So, you know how this goes. I have a list of about 8 questions. I ask the questions and then I speak from my experience on the questions. And then hopefully you all begin to think a little bit about, okay, what does this mean to me, right? What does this look like in my life? How would I answer this question? And that's really my goal, to have a little bit of self-reflection in these podcasts. So let's go ahead and get started. So number one, what does intentional authorship mean to me? So intentional authorship, I came up with this title because I love both of those words. So when you separate it, when you have intentional, you're looking for something intentional, an aim or a plan that you intentionally created. So intention is basically like setting a plan. Okay, with this plan, I'm going to do this, right? And authorship is creating, having agency, right? Being in charge, writing a story. So when you put those together, you have making a plan to create your story, authoring your story with a plan, right? Being the author. That's what it is. But in my life, intentional authorship just means showing up authentically as me, doing what I like to do, and having a plan for my life and following that plan for my life to get me where I will love to be in this journey. So that's what intentional authorship means to me. That's what it begins to look like. It can get so much deeper, but that's what it begins to look like. Number 2, what does it feel like to live unintentionally? This one is huge, because until you get to the point where you're feeling, it's definitely a physical feeling and it can be a mental hardship as well. But if you're aware and you have that awareness in your body will be letting you know. You'll feel irritation, you'll feel uncomfortable, but living unintentionally just looks like, doing things in a loop, just doing things because they're a habit, like showing up to places because that's where your parents took you, or doing things because it was passed down. That's living unintentionally. Unintentionally, it's just something that you did not choose, and most of the time we believe we chose it because we're doing it. And of course, yes, in that instance, but it could have been placed on you. So living in a system you didn't choose, like we're taught, go to school, that's kind of forced. Go to preschool, elementary, middle, high, that's forced. You have to go to school. Even if you don't want to, you have to go to school. And then what's, desired upon next for the world is, college, and then go to your career, have a family, have kids, put your kids through school, still work, retire, have grandkids, and then just live for the rest of your life. Most people follow that. That's unintentional. That's something passed down. And there are so many more branches that you can go off into that are unintentional living, right? It's not what we chose. It's just what seems societally acceptable in society, right? And there are different ways with this. It's like, it's so many things that happen when you live unintentionally. Like, for example, for me, like going to school, immersing myself in every single thing that I thought I could, because I thought that would help me and show that I'm actually in school and I'm trying. No, that's what is deemed society expectations, like go to school, thrive. I didn't want to do that. That's living unintentionally, until I realized, okay, this is not what I want. And mind you, I love leadership, so that's not what I'm talking about. But it's like forcing myself in every position that I can be in to show that I'm a leader. No, I don't have to do that, correct? So yeah, that's just an example of living unintentionally. And it's not just in these aspects, it's anything, like hiding your emotions and being strong because the people around you were like that. That's not how you have to be, right? It's so many ways. But think about what living unintentionally looks like to you, and all it takes is awareness. Because once you actually ask yourself, what am I doing that I don't actually want to do, you will know. And that's literally the key to changing your life, because when you really know what you don't want to do, that means you know what you want to do. So begin to intentionally author what you want to do. and go ahead and delete and erase what wasn't intentional, what was passed down, what was just there, right? So next question is, what changes when I see myself as a co-creator with God instead of a victim of circumstance? So that's the thing, and this can be very controversial, but the way most religion has this life is that, oh, we are victims. God is doing this, God is doing that. And of course, depending on how people see God, God is in control in some ways, but that is the problem that most people go through. You are not just some little ant and you're not a puppet. Like, you're not controlled. You're victimized, and religion victimizes people, and it shouldn't be that. You have authority. God lets you know you have authority. So when you begin to act like you don't have authority, you were treated that way. But when you begin to show up intentionally and you speak to God and you tell God, okay, I want this, and you act, faith without works is dead. You can say I want this and wait to be sat and handed to you. That's victim mentality. No, you need agency. You need to move. You need to say, hey, I am going to do this, and I'm letting you know, and I'm going to walk this journey with you. I'm going to take steps, and you are going to help me excel with this. And that's how it works. And people may say, oh, if it's not for you, go back to the second question. You're living unintentionally, because if it's for you, it's gonna work. And it's gonna work really well and pretty fast. So you're not living intentionally if the things aren't working for you. If it's deep from your soul and your spirit, it's gonna work. So when you see yourself as a co-creator with God, it becomes a team. It becomes a great system. You're not being a victim. You're not just, oh, life is happening to me. No, you're choosing life. And that don't mean everything is gonna be cupcakes and unicorns, right? Some things have to go for new things to come in. But when you become a co-creator and you let go of victim mentality, you become stronger. You become a leader. You become an author. You have agency. So you're able to matriculate a multitude of situations and move throughout life as if you're creating it, because you are. We have that ability, right? We aren't victims. We're here to learn. We're here to experience. And you experience what you choose. Now, what you're experiencing now, if you weren't aware, if you didn't go back and look at this and say, who wrote this book, and erase what you don't like, then you may be living unintentionally and you may see yourself as a victim. But when you take time to begin to choose what you want in your life and what is for you, and you begin to pursue that, life will follow you. You will begin to feel like you have some sort of say. And with that being said, all it takes is positive reinforcement. You keep doing things. You keep saying, okay, this is my life. This is what I'm going to do. And you follow that. Life is going to reward you, right? Things are going to come to you that you want to be a part of, that you want to see in your life, right? Next question is number 4. But what is the difference between control and authorship? And this definitely builds off the first question, because, the last question that I just spoke on. So most people hear this for the first time and they begin to become overly controlling, and nothing's wrong with that. That's just what happens when you don't understand. It takes some understanding, right? So they think, oh, if I can create, then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Yes, you are able to co-create, but even me, I thought I had control. So I thought I was controlling every circumstance. So I thought I had to control everything, every outcome, everything. You just got to give a command sometimes, and you have to work towards it. Take the step of least resistance. In almost every episode, I've probably said, take the step of least resistance. And that is the most important thing that I will ever say, because action always precedes clarity. But when you become overly controlling, you're going to want clarity before you take action. And that's not how it works. So begin to just take steps, but the way you don't need control is faith. Now, control is just doubt disguised sometimes, because you feel like you have to control every outcome, because if you don't, it's not going to work out. That's not how it works. Authors and people who give commands, leaders, they don't go, and good leaders, may I say, don't go and micromanage every single step of the way. They say, hey team, especially if they have a good team. And if you have a good God on your side, your team is amazing. So if they say, hey team, we're looking to have this outcome. Can we execute this? Team says yes. It feels great. Execution happens. Leader congratulates, assesses, things work out, right? That's what that's what a leader does. Authorship is leadership, right? So when you're in control, you're trying to micromanage every step of the way. You don't have enough faith. You don't believe. And sometimes what it takes when you're trying to co-create, this is not a system that you just jump into, right? You have to let go of old beliefs and breed new ones. Like, most people live in doubt, fear, lack. You have to let that go. Because if you're trying to go from, oh, nobody likes me, I don't have any good relationships, to, oh, I'm surrounded, I'm a social butterfly, you have to let some things go because you believe that nobody likes you, you have no relationships, and that's why your life looks like that. Everything is a belief, right? And because, you're living in your current beliefs, you can change them. Most people don't think they believe where they're living in. That's not true, but just take some awareness. But control is micromanaging, it's doubt disguised as, control, but it's nothing wrong with that. It's just some unlearning that it takes. And it takes faith, it takes belief in the new identity that you're stepping into, belief that you have a good say. So most people don't believe in their capability, they don't believe in their word. God always believes. God is always going to come through. So because you're such a good creator and you're such a powerful person, your non-belief is going to stop it. Think about it. You not believing is making this not come. So think about it in reverse. If you believed, it would work, right? And it's easier said than done because it's going to take some time. If you already don't have that system of belief to build it, you're going to go through periods of delayed gratification, and that is what most definitely enhances your belief and just helps you become a stronger leader, because in those periods you begin to build and you begin to structure yourself as a person who does not need outside validation, not just from people but from the world, because most people are living on outside validation. And when you remove that and you strip that outside validation and people have no evidence, that breaks you, because life goes input, output, feedback, right? So you work, you get your money. That's input is work, output is money. And your feedback is like, oh, I'm getting money, I'm gonna keep going to work so I get paid. But imagine going to work and getting no money. You would not want to go to work, right? So I think mastering delayed gratification and being able to just work for something, have consistency, have discipline, have faith, 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 when things don't look how they should be. Because when you're in the unknown, all possibilities are open and they're forever going to be open. So I think in this instance, to separate control from authorship, you definitely need to have a great belief in your team, in yourself, and whatever is helping you through this journey, because it's not just you and it's never just you. But don't be a micromanager, right? So next question, number 5, is how can I tell the difference between my desires and desires I absorb from other people? All you got to do is ask yourself, awareness, what do I actually like? And some people are so caught up and so impressible that you really don't know. You're going to need some isolation to figure out what you like. If you're surrounded by other people, if you just been like picking up on things and not ever, and not in a bad way, not thinking for yourself or figuring out what you like, but putting yourself on a back burner and everybody first, you're not going to know. And it's going to take some reflection, and it's not going to be easy, because you're going to realize, oh, wow, I'm doing this because they're doing it. And some people may not want to face that. And that is some cost to these being able to alter your own life. You have to realize what isn't yours. And a lot of people don't like to accept that, oh, I was living this life off somebody else, and now to live my life, I have to change. And it's hard. That's the cost. Most of this cost is not hard physically. It's hard mentally. It's a mental game. And mostly everything is a mental game. So, people consume identities from social media, from comparison, from family expectations, and nobody ever really knows what they like. But you have to become so resilient in yourself that you don't care what nobody else thinks. You never care. You're here to live this life for you. You're not here to live for nobody else. And once you realize that and you begin to not look for outside validation, which is another big thing that I keep talking about, validation is one of the reasons that people do what they do. And they don't realize that they're not doing stuff for them, but they're doing stuff for other people. Once you get delayed gratification and you show up and you validate yourself, nothing in this world is going to be able to stop you ever, because you're showing up for yourself and you're validating yourself. You're not doing things for outside approval. How the most world does. There's nothing wrong with wanting outside approval, but when it's a plus, because you already validate yourself, it's going to be even better. Realize what you actually want, not what your family wants, not what your social media wants, not who you're trying to be, not who you're trying to follow because, oh, you see they have this. You're not them. Find your own way. Like, you can tell the difference because you already know the difference. Most people already know. It's a deep knowing. You just have to put awareness on yourself. And if you don't want to know who you are, then you're going to keep being a follower and you're not going to have the life you want. And that's just what comes with it. But if you're ready and you're aware, you're going to come across, okay, this is not me. Let me restructure for who I want to be and let go of holding all these false expectations, right? So we're on to question 6. What patterns am I repeating because they're familiar, not because they're aligned? Again, this is going to make you uncomfortable, and that's the point. You can't grow without uncomfortability. So this is where self-reflection hits. Like, what have you been repeating? Oh, you're trying to get this build off this girl on social media. So you're following her path, and rightfully so. That's how we were taught. But you've been doing it for 6 months. It's not working. Guess what? Go back to the lab. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want the attention that comes with it. So what other ways can you get attention? Like, you want to be like him because he has money. Okay. You don't want the money. You want the attention. You want the fame. You want all of that. Actually realize what it is that you want, and don't ever judge anything that you want, because we're here to experience. We're here to have wants. But make sure what you want is actually what you want, because most of the time what you think you want is because of what other people have, and you're imagining a feeling. No, get to the root of that feeling. Pick it apart. Realize where you want that in your life. Follow that the way you think you should. Like, a lot of people are eating a certain way because they want this certain look because they seen somebody else do it, or following a certain thing because they seen somebody else do it. Get off social media. Isolate. Figure out what you want. Go for that. Build your own empire. You're here for that. Like, a lot of y'all going to church, y'all don't even like it. You're just going because it make you look good. Reading the Bible, you don't even understand it. You're just doing it because it make you look good. And, oh, I follow God. No, you don't. Because if you did, your actions would be showing that it's not just going to church. It's not just knowing the word. It's not just that, right? And this applies to multiple things, not just religion, but it's so many things, like in life, work, career, same thing actually, personality, socially, so many things. So stop being a follower. Be a leader. We're all here to be leaders. Everybody here is a leader and can be a leader. And you're going to be a leader. If you're listening to this, I'll tell you that. Number 7, am I making decisions from fear or intention? And this is very important because fear will have people doing crazy stuff. Fear will have you moving too fast. Intention is a plan and it's an aim towards a goal. And when you're in fear, you make quick decisions that don't benefit all the time. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to just take this job because I need this job and I need money right now, because if I don't get money right now, then I'm be homeless and poor. I won't have no food. And then I don't have no food. I'm going to die. Bruh, that's fear talking. That's fear-based. You need to be able to make decisions calmly. So sometimes y'all need to work on your nervous system. So many people are in fight or flight, and rightfully so. The type of world, the way we were taught, the way we were built, the way our nervous systems handle things now, they need to be torn down and rebuilt, or you're going to be making fear-based decisions. And rightfully so. Like I said, there's no way to judge you because it makes sense. But when it makes sense and you have awareness, start to rebuild. Start to think, when you're doing things, am I doing this because I'm scared? If I don't do this, something's going to happen. Am I rushing into this place even though I don't want to do it? Because if I don't do it, I'm scared something's going to happen. Don't do it. Just give yourself the room to follow what's actually in your mind. And if you're still scared and you're not bold enough to try, And rightfully so. Like I said, it's scary. That's what comes with it. You have to try new things. If you don't want to go to this job, don't go to the job. But if your fear is stronger than your will, then sometimes it's going to take small steps, like not answering the phone for somebody who's bugging you, and not saying, oh, I'll talk to you later, I don't feel like talking right now, right? Or getting away from toxic stuff, like you're answering because you're scared. If you don't answer, blah blah blah, something's gonna happen, or they're gonna need. Let it ring an extra ring first, like small steps like that. If you're still gonna answer, like let it ring 2 extra times. Text back maybe 5 minutes later than you would. It's not all about big steps. Small steps compound, and the more you do the small steps, it's gonna compound. It's not easy, it's not fun, because we all want the result. But once you begin to realize that the results come from the journey, and all you really want is the journey. Nobody, we love the outcome, but when you get to the outcome, you'll realize there's nothing here but the outcome. You want the growth, you want the emotions, you want the feelings, you want everything of that sort. So embrace the journey, embrace the beginning, because you'll appreciate the beginning at the end. And in the beginning, you're trying to appreciate the end. You haven't got there. Appreciate the beginning, the middle, and the end, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the journey. So make small steps, take small steps, and if you're in the position to make bigger steps, make those bigger steps. Make boundaries. Stop talking to certain people. Stop showing up to work with your all. Go to work some days if you don't feel like being there. Do what you need to do, bare minimum. You don't feel like talking to people, and there's no specific reason. Even if you got a reason, you don't have to explain. You don't feel like talking to people today, don't talk to people. You don't feel like overextending your arm to people who you don't think deserve it, don't do it. You're scared to speak up because people not listening? Speak up. If you have to speak up through text message before you can speak up verbally, just try something small. That's all it takes. We most of the time aren't making decisions because we're scared. And that's where fear lies, is where growth lies. You just have to overcome those fears. Fears are just information. They're signals that there is something here that needs to be addressed. I need attention. That's what fears are saying. I need attention. And once you give attention, you're going to actually realize most of the time than not that the fear was exaggerated. Our brain likes to predict. It likes to go for the worst case scenario and try to prepare you. But most of the time, that is no good. You're putting yourself in unnecessary stress, unnecessary situations that do not need to be. They just do not need to be. But until you realize and you can separate reaction and actually have awareness, and like when something comes up, is this serious? Do I actually need to stress out over this? Or is my brain predicting something based off the past that is trying to make urgent and trying to make me reactive? Or can I be calm, and can I approach this calm and make decisions calmly instead of fear-based decisions? Because fear-based decisions are not going to be decisions that benefit you. They're just going to continue the fear-based loop. So just calm down if you can. Don't make decisions so quickly. Don't be so reactive. Take time. Take some time. If you're really a fear-based decision maker, give yourself maybe 2 hours, an hour at most. If you can't give yourself 2 hours or an hour, 30 minutes. And if not, start with 5 minutes, but don't make it instantly if you're used to doing it instantly. And if you're pretty good and you wait 2 to 3 hours, but it's still fear-based, give yourself a day if you can, right? We need to master being patient and let go of the sense of urgency. Nothing's urgent. Your mind tells you it's urgent, but things can wait. You're an author. Everything is on your time. So start to treat it as such. So the last question of today, and this is a really good question to end it off, is what daily habits reinforce authorship? So like I said, doing things because you want to do them. That's what reinforces authorship. And I will say 2 important things. So I think journaling, in whatever way you do it, you don't have to pull out a journal, you don't have to write, but you can video, you can talk to yourself in a mirror, But writing sometimes is really good, and video is good because you can actually go back and see your growth. That's why I say those are really good, but you can do whatever. But journaling, reflection, anything with awareness, they reinforce authorship, because you begin to ask yourself, you begin to say, okay, in the morning, if you journal, I want to do this today. And you're doing it because you want to do it, right? And you're letting out your expectations. Like, that reinforces authorship. You're doing things from you because you want to do it. You're being a leader in your life. And at the end of the day, after your day has went by, writing down, okay, what happened today? What don't I like today? What can I redo? What's going to work for me tomorrow that didn't work today? Or if today was good, let's continue this, right? So let's keep reflecting, because like I said, the world works in threes. It's a system. You have an input, you have an output, and then you have feedback. Reflection is feedback. So if you have an input, like I said, you go to work and you get money, you go to work is your input. Your output, you get money. Your feedback is, oh, I like this, I'm gonna keep going to work. So let's say you go to work, you get no money. Your feedback is, I don't like this. And your feedback changes your input. So if you go to work and you ain't getting no money, you're going to stop going to work. So now you're going to have a different input, not go to work. Something new going to happen. You got feedback. That's how everything works. So if you're reflecting, you're actually giving real feedback to the input. You're allowing yourself to, initiate change. Because if you're realizing, I'm talking to this person and the output is, I feel nervous, anxious, I don't like it, change something. Your feedback is telling you, I don't like this, right? I'm nervous. So change that. If you keep doing the same thing, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And a lot of people, sad to say, are insane. And I still can be sometimes. Like, doing the same thing, expecting different results. No. Change it up. Think in threes, like I said. You have an input, you have an output, and you get feedback. Reflect on the feedback. And if you don't like it, tell yourself, I don't like this. You have the ability. You have the privilege to change your life. Change your life. Focus on that feedback. Focus on that feedback. When you actually start focusing on that feedback, you get the ability to author intentionally. Okay? Let's author our life intentionally. That's what life is about. And again, that's what you're here for. But thank you all for listening to this episode. Again, I'll have all the questions in the description. I encourage you all to go and ask yourself these questions, even if you need to pause it before I answer, and ask yourself those questions. Or if you want to hear my answer and then pause and answer yourself, do whatever works for you. But ask yourself these questions, have awareness. But thank y'all. I will see y'all again next week with a new topic. If you have any suggestions, any questions, feel free. Bye.